I keep hearing that men don't step up, and then I keep watching really high status women or really wealthy women dating men who treat them like shit. And then I start thinking, wait a second, what do I remember throughout life? Do I remember the guy who did all the things right getting the girl, or do I remember the guy who was a little bit of a scumbag getting the girl?
I am so happy that I didn't leave him, because I would never find what I have with him in anybody else. And it's gotten so much better. It's like a whole different ball game. And it's like, I always think about it like, damn, if I would have left, I'd be missing out on this.
But then it's also like the opposite end of the things could be like, what happens if, you know, like, it's not even about you leaving him. What if it's the other way around? Like, it's just, I want you to be happy. I want you to feel loved. I want your daughter to feel loved. I don't know what it's like to be a mom. I know what it's like to be a woman.
So the reason why this went mega viral is because her boyfriend beats her and cheats on her repeatedly, and it's documented. And she is so grateful for the fact, what she just said there, that she could stay with him. And what you saw Camilla do is like realizing that this woman she's interviewing is in crisis, and she doesn't know how to try to explain to her what's going on. And so she's just sitting there dealing with this like massive levels of abuse. You know, Bad Barbie, obviously there's some serious trauma that she went through in the beginning with the whole thing on what's his face, Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
And I get that whole situation, but it's like I keep hearing that men don't step up, and then I keep watching really high status women or really wealthy women dating men who treat them like shit. And then I start thinking, wait a second, what do I remember throughout life? Do I remember the guy who did all the things right getting the girl, or do I remember the guy who was a little bit of a scumbag getting the girl? What's the truth? And then, you know, you just start to ask yourself, it's like, if women keep dating men when they're a little bit more Machiavellian, a little bit more narcissistic, a little bit more psychopathic, a little bit more arrogant, a little bit more ambitious, a little bit more assertive, if you keep doing that, then you end up having children who are like that. You end up having more children like that. So I'm not saying that the world is that, and I certainly don't think men are evil, but the attributes that men have, it's only because women men who act like that. That is the only reason. There is no other reason for those things, those attributes to be perpetrated. Look, when I hear Tommy Lahren say what she says, and then I listen to Bad Barbie, I'm like, no. Do you understand how many good guys Nicole Bergoli could have been with instead of this dude who hits Levon, who hits her? Do you understand how many millions of good guys she could have been with?
You don't think some people need to be beat up?
Huh?
You don't think some people need to be beat up?
Yes.
While I do understand what you're saying, that's not where I'm going here with this statement. What I'm saying is there's a bunch of good guys out there who are going to see this and be like, I've been a good guy. I went and got a master's degree. I did all the things right. And this dude who beats this girl gets the girl. Do you understand what that does to a man's motivation? You understand why men turn into assholes? It's because of this.
Like when Chris Brown beats her.
Men get beat too.
Like Kim and
Okay.
Kanye.
Yeah, Kim and
Probably
Kanye.
wasn't doing it at first, and he started doing it when she was actually like, once he realized she was attacked.
I don't really understand her perspective, but once you have a baby with someone, it's like kind of you're connected for life. Like obviously you don't have to be, and at 18 they could leave, but she was talking about how it's going to be so hard for her to leave. She doesn't want the baby to grow up like in two different households. And I'm not saying I fully agree with that, but also it's like once you have a baby with someone, you're kind of
totally agree. You know what else you could do? Have enough self-awareness or have enough intelligent male role models and male figures in your life, or older women in your life who can look at your partner and say, this dude is going to hit you. This is one of the things, man, I can't remember which statistic I was reading this, and it had to do with women who had higher numbers of male family members were far less likely to be sexually assaulted. I can't remember exactly what the data was, but it had to do having more brothers and male figures around. The likelihood of them being sexually assaulted became like astronomically low. It also, they didn't put themselves in so many bad positions. There's another statistic that when a man leaves the family, abandons the child, the daughters tend to go through puberty earlier, and they tend to be shorter women. That's another thing that happens. And they tend to lose their virginity at an earlier age. So again, I've been saying this before, guys. It's like maybe there was no father figure in her life. I don't know. But if there was a father figure in her life who said, hey, this dude who hit you, not good enough for you. It's time to go do something else. I know that comes off as misogynistic, feels very not patriarchal 1950s.
Good.
There's a reason why we listened to our elders. They knew more than us. There's also, you know who else you listen to? Forget the dad, grandma. Grandma's been through menopause. All that good looking guy with the leather jacket who comes up with the tattoo sleeves that you just swoon over, Grandma doesn't give a about him. Grandma will tell you that's a piece of shit. Why don't we listen to Grandma? Why don't we listen to Dad? Why don't we listen to our brother?
Because Grandma doesn't have 70,000 on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. We're listening to the wrong people when we could have people in our life who care about us, who could look at our relationships and say, hey, you shouldn't be with this guy who beat you. Maybe don't have a baby with him. Right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong? I'm not saying she's younger than she's not going to know what to do. She's young. Maybe she knows, maybe she doesn't. But having other people in your life to look at your relationship objectively from a third party perspective is a solution to a lot of problems. Whenever I hear women say, I had a baby with the wrong guy, you do get to choose who you have a kid with. Go ahead.
I also think that, if you don't have a good example, certain things seem normal.
Of course.
Absolutely.
So she has stated many times that her mom and her have a very tumultuous relationship. It just seems like that type of chaotic environment, for somebody who's still learning, 'cause she's pretty young.
Is she like 21, 22?
Yeah. She doesn't really know any different. And I'm saying that personally from experience. I went through that same thing that she's going through. And I also felt like it was normal because I grew up in an environment like that. So I feel like she just doesn't know.
Now, let me ask you a second question. You have a friend or family member who's going through something like this. Would you be able to counsel them because of what you've seen, the lessons you've learned?
I would, and if I had the opportunity, but I do know that hard head makes a soft ass. You can tell somebody until they're tired and done, they're never going to listen to you.
I don't think they'll never listen to you. I think it feels like they're never going to listen to you, but I think eventually, there's a lot of things my dad said to me. I was like, this, whatever, I'm not listening to you. And then later on, you figure out they're right.
You have to be in a space to actually.
That's what maturity is.
Yeah,
that's what maturity is. Yeah.
If you're not in a space to accept what somebody's saying, you're not going to hear them.
Oftentimes, it's seeing someone else going through the shit you're going through that makes you realize that you're going through the same thing, rather than someone like saying, hey, this is happening, get out of this. Like oftentimes, say like you're a little kid and you yell at the beach, and your mom says don't yell at the beach, right? And then you hear some younger kid than you yell at the beach. Oh, that's annoying.
Coming from personal experience, I've definitely been there, but it's always you that has to be the one that walks away. Not anyone else can choose for you. It's you at the end of the day.
Let's throw another ringer in here. She makes $59 million. Is it a month?
No.
No way.
A year.
Yeah.
A year. $59 million a year.
Yes.
Five
on only, because she's the number, I don't know if she still is, but in 2024, she was the number 2 earner on OnlyFans. Does that have anything would that factor in? And again, we mentioned she's very young, right? She's 21.
I wonder if he didn't get a prenup.
Is it too much, too young, too fast, right?
I mean, definitely is. I mean, I think the moment she turned 18, she started an OF. And really, it was like the problem with that kind of thing is a lot of her fans were pedophiles. I'm just going to say it like they were. These are men who wanted to see.
Well, that's why Belle
underage girls.
Delphine is still
exactly.
number 5 on the list.
Like Coconut Kitty 143.
Yeah.
Like that's what happened with her. So, and like that's what she's made all this money off of. I can't imagine what that would do to me if I realized my fans were people like that. I don't know what I would do.
Yeah. I mean, and when you're making that kind of money, I mean, just next to nothing. I mean, just doing whatever you're doing on OnlyFans, right? I mean, it's because of her celebrity. That's why she's got it. But was it Black China's number 1? I think so.
I don't know.
Yeah, pretty sure.
I couldn't pick Black China out if she was right in front.
When I was watching Tinder Swindler, and the first chick, because there was like 3 chicks involved in this whole thing, and the first chick meets the guy on Tinder, and he's got his own private jet, and he's saying that he's part of Mossad and saying that he's like, his father's a Hasidic diamond merchant or something like that. And within 45 minutes of them hooking up on Tinder, she's already posting pictures of herself on Instagram on his private jet, flying off to, I don't know, like Mykonos or something like that, right? And the first thing I thought is, where is her dad? Where is her brother? Where is her uncle? Where is the male figure who says, you are not getting on that plane because they're going to sell you into white slavery, right? Nothing good is going to happen from all of this. And of course it didn't, 9 bank loans later, right? But I remember thinking, like, where's the male figure in this? And just like you were saying before, it would be misogynistic for me to presume that there should be a guy who would step in and say, you're not getting on that plane, girl, because you're going to get killed or something's going to happen to you. And now, like you were saying before, if there's sort of like a damaged relationship, or there's some sort of there's no brothers or whatever else, it's going to seem logical, like her ship has come in. What was she, like 32, 33 when all this was going down, and now she's, she wanted to believe, and that's basically, and there was nobody to tell her.
He sold hope.
Yeah,
he sold
hope, and there was, and I think probably the reason why he chose her as a victim is because there's no male figure to tell her no. There's no father. There's no grandmother even in that situation.